welcome to the first video on my brand new YouTube channel. I hope some of you guys followed me over from Instagram, maybe TikTok. I'm kind of on TikTok a little. Let me go ahead and introduce myself a little bit. I'm Jack. I'm a bit obsessed with vintage toys. From girls' toys, boys' toys, I really don't care. I'm really just more into the nostalgic feel, the retro vibes I pick up, whatever it is I like about a toy. It doesn't really matter. I like what I like. Now, I had an idea for this channel to be a little bit about everything. I kind of wanted to cover reviews of new toys that are coming out. I'm actually pretty big into boys' toys, action figures, Motu, that sort of thing. But those of you who know me from Instagram probably know that I do have a bit of a specialty. That'd be Barbie. Vintage Barbie, specifically. One thing that I wanted to do with this channel was really go over, stuff from my collection, sure, but I wanted to talk about specific fashion eras. I wanted to show just how amazing and why I collect these things, why someone someone so cool and like sexy and good looking, and just like this overall, like this kind of star quality, like someone like this would be collecting old dolls. To that I would say, thank you. It's unwarranted, but certainly appreciated. If you want to know why I actually started collecting vintage Barbie, it would probably be because of these clothes. Just look at this. I think the thing that really got me interested, first and foremost, was sort of just this idea of collecting these 6-scale vintage designer outfits made really well that you could somehow display on a shelf. Say you were gonna collect vintage clothes, you can wear them, you can wear one at a time. Can't really hang them up and show them to people. But you get these little mannequins and, well, now you can. I definitely want to show you guys all of the fashions starting from 1959 to around 1998. That's my jam. The early 60s, the late 60s, the early 70s, that's really my thing. But I love it all. And when I show you this stuff, I'm not going to be showing you, photos of dolls up on the screen or images that I found on the internet. You guys are going to see the actual stuff here in the flesh, and you're going to really see it up close. I'm going to feel it, talk about it, discuss it. I am pretty great at collecting. I'm pretty great at hunting deals, and I can also show you guys where to find this stuff, about how much you should expect to spend, where you can find good deals, all that. I want to cover a lot of stuff. But today, so we can go ahead and get into it, today's topic, as a good introduction to Barbie and Barbie collecting, I want to go ahead and tell you how I think of each fashion era. Maybe you'll discover which era sort of interests you most, what era you want to collect from. If you're at all interested, maybe you just want to watch this stuff and enjoy it because it's super fucking cute and you're gonna like it. I want to cover the early 60s, I want to cover the late 60s, mod, the early 70s, where things get really hippie, and then we'll get into the superstar era. And I'll explain what the superstar era is for those of you who are just sort of getting into this world of Barbie. I know a lot of people have just started collecting Barbie because they're into the movie, and now they're maybe getting more into the history. So why don't we go ahead and start with the early vintage eras, so that in the future, when I'm talking about a certain period of time, you guys are going to know exactly what's going on. One of the great things about collecting vintage Barbie and friends, you're not collecting stuff from a favorite TV show or a comic book. When you're doing this, you're really collecting reflections of modern life at that time. So the retro vibes are kind of elevated even more than a lot of 80s action figures that kids love, you know? And I think you guys are going to get really into it because, especially in the early 60s, but also in the mod days in the early 70s, the quality of these clothes was amazing. We're talking real clothes, real working zippers, nice fabrics and brocades, everything you can think of. And I'm going to point out which ones I think are the highest quality. We'll go over it. But today I thought I would just grab a couple examples from each era, and then maybe you can see what era you like. Maybe there's a little, maybe you're going to feel one of these things. You're going to say, holy shit, I love mod fashion. So let's start with the beginning, the early 60s. Now, at this time, Barbie had just begun. The lovely lady spinning here is at number 3. She came out in 1960. So I just sort of randomly grabbed these off the shelf. Number 3s are pretty valuable dolls. They're not nearly as expensive as a number 1, but if you get a really good one, they can cost you a pretty penny, which is why I only have one number 3 in my collection. And she's the one early ponytail that I keep in her original swimsuit because she's iconic. If anyone's gonna stay in that swimsuit on the shelf, obviously I think it should be her. Over here you'll see Barbie Learns to Cook. This one I think you can see is just sort of a good example of that American domesticity. And it's just this great cut. It's really simple and cute. She has cute blue shoes there. And she also came with a lot of pots and pans and stuff like that. If I'm remembering this correctly, the first vintage Barbie that at first I was buying some repros. I'm not sure the first vintage one I actually got. I believe it was Suburban Shopper. And this thing would just sit on the shelf in my office, and then it would move around. Sometimes I'd bring it downstairs. I'd set her on the coffee table. And then before you knew it, I just wanted more. I wanted more outfits. I wanted to put her in something different. I wanted a different doll. And then I started reading more and more about vintage Barbie and vintage fashion, going through old issues of Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. Anyway, let's move on to the late 60s. This is a lot of people's favorite. Now this is when things started getting really fun, really colorful. Twiggy happened, the swinging 60s, mod fashion was a big deal, the mini skirt was invented, and a lot of new Barbies came out at that point too. You guys saw the ponytails from before. They had the ponytails, the bubble cuts, the swirl ponytail, the American Girl, Miss Barbie, Fashion Queen, all that. Then we had the TNT come in. We had Francie come in. Now, Francie was built to be more like Twiggy, smaller in the bust, smaller framed altogether. And the girl spinning here would be one of my favorite parts of my collection. My vintage Black Francie from 67. She was technically the first black fashion doll ever made. And the next year, Christy came out. And Christy just so happens to be my favorite doll, period. And that goes for the first version in 68, Malibu Christy, live action Christy. And I'm not going into Christy right now because the next video I intend to make all about my favorite toy, Christy. Now you can also see that the quality is still extremely high. This outfit's called London Tour on a TNT. It's gorgeous. This one is an outfit designed by a long-time designer at Mattel, Carol Spencer. She has a book called Dressing Barbie where she does mention this one and how she put it together by taking little strips of satin, pasting them onto a larger piece, and then making this really cool custom print. And she made a lot of really nice custom prints, especially in the early 70s, which we'll get into as well. lamb and leather. The same sort of awesome like vinyl that's used over here. It really holds up well. It's still nice and squishy after all these years. Here's a Marlowe flip Barbie. Recognize the hair from that girl. She's wearing an outfit called Prima Ballerina. All right, I really want to show you the 70s. Now, this is just a tiny fraction of what you can see from all of these eras. But, you know, for example, I didn't even bring out the live action Barbie set, which is maybe the best one. But, you know, I'm saving some things. But what you're seeing is great. And I don't want to hear any complaints. We have Marsha Brady right here, dressed like Marsha Brady. This is Malibu Barbie. A lot of people aren't as crazy about Malibu Barbie. They think that, you know, she went less glam, she lost her lashes, she's just a tan beach babe now. And some people think it's boring, but the truth is, she's gorgeous. She's got brushable hair. And Malibu Barbies came from a lot of different places. And sometimes you can get some really great looking ones and some that are, you know, they're just struggling a bit. This outfit, all about plaid, really cute. This is a growing pretty Barbie. You can see she has hair that extends from her head. This sort of grow feature you saw in a lot of dolls. Well, not a lot. You saw, there's a doll called Tressie that had this too. Chrissy. Yeah, a lot of those dolls had hair that would extend out the back of the head. Anyway, she's in an outfit called Country Music. This was part of a trio that was sort of Woodstock inspired. At that time, you know, you'd see a lot of fringe. It was sort of the hippie era. The mods had kind of left the dance clubs. It was more about rock music, free love, a lot of psychedelics, a lot of psychedelic imagery, and also peasant looks were really big this time too. I mean, you can see this, especially here. This outfit's actually from 75. Maybe a little later, I think it's 75. But there was this period in the mid-70s where most of Barbie's outfits were made by Best Buy and Sears. And it was a lot of peasant looks. And they're cute and they're very of the time. But I can see why it's not really as exciting as what you'd see in the earlier part of the decade where you'd see like outfits like turtle and tights. But the 70s is totally one of my favorite Barbie eras. One thing I did not too long ago was put together a color palette from a lot of imagery and clothing and advertising and stuff like that I'd seen in just eras of time that I thought were interesting, which you can see a lot of in Barbie's outfits and things like that. Like one thing I noticed was purple really wasn't a big color in fashion, and especially it was non-existent in the early 60s and in all of the 60s pretty much in Barbie until the 70s hit and hippie looks started coming, peasant looks started becoming more of a thing, and apparently purple just took the world by storm and everyone wanted purple stuff, purple clothes. But you know, now that the mod era was officially dead and this sort of hippie flower power look had taken over all these peasant looks, I'm still really into it. And it wasn't until disco happened and Superstar Barbie came along that all that sort of changed. Now, most of my superstar faced Barbies, that's what we call the sculpt that we all know from the 80s and 90s. Most of my stuff is in the box, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull out some 80s and 90s Barbies that I have out of the box, and we're just gonna go ahead and take a look at how things shifted after the 70s. Now, in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, we had the Superstar face. This is Superstar Barbie, Superstar Christy. These are both repros. The ones in the box, you can't really see the faces as well. Now, this is when that whole pink box era started. You wanted a new outfit, you got a new doll along with it. You got a doll that was styled for the outfit. It was themed, it came with a line of other dolls. Also themed, they would have accessories, vehicles, whatever. So we have Superstar Barbie, and then over here we have Barbie and the All-Stars. Here's Christy. She really looks like Chili from TLC, like the hair. She's so hot. Oh, great shape Barbie. You guys, I'm sure you know from Toy Story. Very cute. She's definitely one of my favorites. She's got the Jane Fonda look. And then the highest selling doll of all time, the highest selling Barbie of all time, still to this day, Totally Hair Barbie. And obviously, we all know why she's the best selling doll ever. Even right now, like, I want to touch the hair. I want to brush the hair. Every time it comes around, like, I want to get in there. A lot of kids did. Millions and millions were sold. The great thing is, she still has this Carol Spencer designed, Poochie printed outfit. Not only does she have this ridiculous hair that's fun to brush and all that, but her outfit is actually really cool. It's really cute, and she actually looks great. Most of my 80s and 90s Barbies are boxed and just stacked either up on the top shelf where I keep my dolls, or if they're really good ones, they'll be on the wall. And I'll pan over those for you here so you can see them. But anyway, hopefully some era here of these Barbie fashions interest you, because if you think I'm done, I'm nowhere near done. There are so many outfits to cover. I haven't even really gotten started on the dolls themselves, where you get them, the fashions, how much they're worth, where do you get the clothes, how do you do all this? Well, you know what? There's a lot to cover, and this is just episode 1. Are these episodes? Do you call them episodes? This is video 1. Now the thing is, whether Barbie is specifically your thing or not, I actually collect all sorts of vintage toys, boys' toys, girls' toys. It really doesn't matter to me. As a kid, I actually mostly collected Motu, He-Man, and I wasn't even allowed to have a Barbie as a kid. But vintage toy collecting became a thing for me maybe 13, 15 years ago or something. And once I got started on these vintage outfits for Barbie, I don't care how gay it is. I like it. Why are you trying to take it away from me? Like, I'm just here vibing, you know? Get the hell off my back. Anyway, maybe Barbie isn't your thing. Maybe you want me to talk about My Little Pony, Trolls, Dusty, G.I. Joe, amazing action figures from Sideshow, Integrity Toys, Polly Pocket, He-Man, Rainbow High, Bratz, LOL, OMG, whatever they're called. The point is, I got a lot of cool stuff we can go through. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. My plan is to do this at least once a week. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.